the London Mayor, Sadiq Khan, doesn't appear to want to confront this growing crisis on the streets of the capital city. That kids, 16 kids this year in London, have been stabbed to death by other kids. Kids walking around with machetes, basically swords. Since he doesn't want to address this problem, perhaps someone else will have to. But my question is, Peter, is it time for zero tolerance on knife possession? Can we dissuade these kids, deter them by the possibility of a serious sentence? In other words, you get caught with a knife, it's 5 years. Is that worth thinking about?
We've heard it all before, tragically. Only in 2015, legislation was passed that said for a second knife crime offence, there will be a sentence of between 6 months and 4 years. That has not been adhered to. Only last week, a man in Manchester who was convicted of stabbing somebody twice in the buttocks, who had a previous conviction for robbery, including a bladed instrument, in other words, a knife. He got an 18-month community order. So the legislation is there. It could be applied. It simply is not. And that, of course, is a travesty. But let me tell you something else that Mayor Sadiq Khan of London will not confront. And this is a tragic, uncomfortable truth. The overwhelming majority of these teenage victims of knife crime, murder in London are black. This year, last year, and go back even further. What issues are at play here? Why are we losing so many of these valuable, treasured young lives? Is it socio-economic factors, poverty? Is it parenting, whether it be absent or not up to scratch? Is it lack of opportunity? Young Elianne was going to a private school, so it would not appear to be the case with that tragic case. Unless we address these uncomfortable truths, the realities, we will not find the reasons. And when we do find the reasons, which I crave, then we might inch towards getting some cures.
Indeed, and just as we were digesting the full horror of what happened in South London in Croydon yesterday, later in that same day yesterday, an all-out war erupted in Bradford, up in Yorkshire, between the police and marauding yobs, charging at police cars, kicking at them. This is lawless Britain, isn't it? I mean, what is going on? The police seemed incapable of dealing with this because the numbers were so strong. What happened was a big group of hoodies basically gathered in the town centre or the city centre there, were reported for acting suspiciously. The police turned up. They just erupted and attacked the police. So one of the problems we have, Peter, here, you'll know about this, is that when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, we were terrified of coppers. I mean, because we weren't always behaving that well. It might have been a little bit naughty here and there. And the big thought in our mind is, don't let the coppers see you. Don't let the coppers catch you. Now kids don't seem to give a damn about coppers or the authority of the police, do they?
No, children and young people don't. I'm quite pleased that we don't live in such a deferential society that I grew up in the 1960s. But that having said now, the pendulum has swung far, far too much in the opposite direction. And we have a police service that, it would appear yesterday in Bradford, simply didn't have the numbers available to instantly respond to this mob behaviour and weren't able to arrest people, put them in the back of vans and charge them where they had broken the law. It looked like a very inglorious retreat from the police. It looked like, from the images and the videos that I've seen, that the mob took over, the mob ruled, and the police retreated. And we surely don't need that.
Absolutely. Now, as a former Met Police detective, we're talking about this awful scourge of knife crime in the capital and around the country. But in London, as I said earlier, 16 kids have been stabbed to death on the streets of this city this year. this year. And you know there will be more. There will be more. The mayor doesn't even seem to want to confront this issue. He doesn't seem to want to do anything about it except say his thoughts are with the family. Well done to the police. And by the way, I hope you enjoy breathing clean air, which poor Elianne Andam won't be able to because she's dead.